Fourth down, the final play, unless they can stick it in the end zone. Dorsey under pressure, throws it, incomplete. The Buckeyes win. Ezekiel Elliott, and he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
Feature the two backs as receivers, and now a downfield shot on first down for the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State strikes first. Making adjustments again, and there is Smith rolling free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly from 45 yards. Pressure comes. Sword, knock it out, and picks it up. Jack Sword, coming down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score, and dagger from 82 yards. Here they come. Heavy pressure. Howard delivers downfield, and Smith, he's got it. Jeremiah Smith, 2025 college football national champion, Coach Ryan Day, and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Welcome in, Buckeye backers. We are bringing it to you live from Seattle, Washington, to the cornfields of Enid, Ohio. We are the pulse of Buckeye fans across the nation, with Seattle Matt and Buckeye Steve. What is up, Buckeye backers? Well, the weather's right. It feels right. High school football has started today and yesterday. Man, it feels like fall already. And it is the dog days of summer in August. It's a special day. It's a special time. And college football's right around the corner. We are almost 7 days away, closing in on a week from Ohio State, taking on Texas August 30th, man. Are you pumped up yet?
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Cody's one of the newest Buckeye backers. If you all aren't familiar, he gets a lot of articles about, and especially Buckeyes in the NFL. So actually, let's just jump into that. You put an article out this week about the Buckeyes in the NFL. Give us a little summary of that and what's going on in the NFL for the Scarlet and Gray, baby.
Well, I think the most impressive player right now is forgetting his name.
Henderson.
Henderson's been unbelievable, and the Bills. And anyway,
my first thoughts are TreVeyon Henderson, because I think TreVeyon Henderson is showing, that he wasn't just, a one-hit wonder. He came in his freshman year, did really good. His sophomore year had those injuries, then came back, and then last year had split time. So he's looking like he could be an every down back in the NFL right now, which I think is phenomenal. The kickoff return for a touchdown have us all thinking, like, why wasn't he returning kicks at Ohio State with that speed, that second gear he's got? Everything looked the same. If you looked at that screen pass that he took against Texas to the house right before half, and then you look at that kickoff return, they were almost identical in the way he was running. Just hit that seam, cut it out to the sidelines, and boom, he was gone. Just took it into a second gear. Unbelievable. The things that could have been with him returning kicks. But in the NFL, he looks like he's got a clear role as a kick returner and an every down back, really. I mean, I know he's going to be used more third down than anything because his pass pro's unbelievable and his hands are good. And in the screen game, he could take it to the house at any time. But it's just exciting to see. And then you see what Emeka Egbuka is doing. There's that, touchdown he grabbed. It just, like, we didn't appreciate what we had with Emeka Egbuka, and I think Tampa Bay is getting to see the most of that right now.
Well, I mean, with Emeka, it was tough because he was behind so many great receivers, and then he finally got his chance, and then it's like, well, he gets his chance, and then he leaves. It's tough, but
I think he got his chance, and it was, his senior year, he just got Jeremiah Smith just came on. I mean, it was just like, really, dude, are you serious?
Right.
Jeremiah Smith comes in out of nowhere, and just he's unbelievable. He's generational wide receivers. It's like any other year, it would have been awesome to see Emeka Egbuka just shine. Like, he would have been the number one wide receiver on the team. It was just, you have a general receiver. As a freshman, I mean, like what I like to call him, the Maurice Clarett of this generation. He is
Yes.
the guy the freshman that led us to a national title on his back, man. It's something you don't see very often, but Ohio State has two of those in my lifetime, in Maurice Clarett and JJ.
Yeah, JJ's unbelievable. The guy that I was thinking of earlier was Jordan Hancock for the Bills.
Jordan Hancock, how he's doing? Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Hancock. He's been unbelievable. He's getting a lot of reps at safety, and he's showcasing that versatility that we knew he had at Ohio State. He's finally getting chances at safety, which is awesome. And I think that he could compete for a starting job.
Oh, yeah. And that's what's different about the Buckeyes now. The Buckeyes before, they had their NFL guys, but they're just shining from day one out there, really getting going. And then you got Vrabel as the head coach of the Patriots.
Yes.
Awesome Buckeye. Just nice to see some Buckeyes doing well in the NFL.
I'm happy for Vrabel. I don't want to say that it wasn't warranted, but I honestly felt like he was kind of given the short end of a really bad Tennessee roster.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's getting his chance with his former team, and I think that he's going to be the guy that takes them to where they need to go.
I mean, sometimes it's just the right place, the right time, right? You gotta get in where you need to be and where you fit, where your personality fits. You saw what happened with Matt Patricia. I don't know why I always want to call him Patrick now. That's the second time I've done that, though. Matt Patricia at the Lions, it just didn't work out, and it looks like he's really starting to get into his own, back into the college game, getting that kind of that second breath, that recharge after a year off. Lost a ton of weight, looking good, and he just looks happy where he's at. So it's going to be awesome to see what he does with this defense. But what we got to get to now, we'll transition. Is there anyone else you want to talk about that's doing well in the NFL with the Buckeyes right now?
I think we about covered it. I mean, Trey is looking great. Hancock, like I mentioned, he's looking unbelievable. Could be a starter. So I think that those are the guys that really kind of stand out to me. So
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you have your everyday NFL players that, Ohio State's had in the past too, that are still shining in the NFL. It's just nice to see some of these new guys step up fast. But we got to get into this Texas game. Like I said, approaching a week, in a few more hours, it'll be 7 days, 7 days. Man, this football season, the offseason went so quick. I'm just so excited, man. This is a huge game, a monster of a game, as Ryan Day likes to call it. But even more so, it means a lot for Ohio State, right? They got to start off this game. They got to get their brand new quarterback some experience. We saw those graphics. A first-year starting quarterback is 0-18 against the number one team in the nation. And at first glance, that's like an eye-popping stat. But read that, process that.
Right.
First-time starting quarterback. Always is going to have a little trouble going against the number one team in the nation. Okay, well, that makes sense, but not every starting quarterback is like what you have at Ohio State. I'd have to do a deeper dive into who those quarterbacks were, what those teams were against the number one teams. It's hard to just to go out there and see that stat and be like, all right, well, we're going to lose, because history repeats itself. Well, you know what? Stats are always made there and records are always made to be broken. So I'm sure all those quarterbacks that lost to the number one team in the nation did not have a roster, did not have wide receivers, did not have an offensive line like you're going to have with the Buckeyes trot out there on August 30th. I mean, I think Joe Moore award-winning offensive line and receivers that it could be their best wide receiver crew in the nation. And we say that every year at Ohio State, but every year it's going to be that when you have Jeremiah Smith, when you have Brandon Ennis, when you have Carnell Tate, when you have Max Clare back there. It's amazing, absolutely amazing that they're going to trot these guys out on the field and expect – and the defensive coordinator is going to expect to stop them because it's not happening. It's just pick your poison. Who do you want to stop this game? I don't know how. I really don't know how any defense – what defense are you going to choose to run? I don't know.
I have no idea.
If you run quarters, you're going to get some guys right up the seam. If you run man-to-man, you're going to get a lot of crossing routes, and you're going to take guys deep and then run a guy underneath, and it's going to be good luck. See what you can do. If if you run the zone, they're going to find pockets in it because these guys are fast. These guys are long. These guys are skilled. They're great route runners. They're great blockers. And then that leads you to the running backs. I mean, everyone around Julian Sain is only going to make him better. And what we've been hearing is his decision-making is on point. His accuracy is on point. His quick release on point. He can make all the throws. He's got all the angles. And go back and look at the film. The dude is an athlete too. And Ryan Day was quick to point that out this week too on Monday. He said, he's not just a guy that can't take off and get the first down. He's an athlete too. You go back and look at the run. The run that clearly sticks out in my mind is when he got in against Purdue. Go to that fourth quarter of the Purdue game. Watch him run. Like, dude can scoot. Like, he's not just, I'm going to stand in the pocket. He's a guy that can move in the pocket, and he's quick to make decisions. So he can get that ball down the field. He can extend plays. It's going to be really fun to see this in action. This is not the typical situation for a first-time quarterback to come in here and have this many weapons, just surrounded by excellence. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, like you said about that stat, I would like to see that statistic and really kind of do a deep dive. You can't take that at face value.
For sure. And also, records are made to be broken. If it is 0-18,
right?
Someone's got to be that one. Someone's got to break that curse.
And I mean, saying, like you said, he's extremely accurate and he has all the weapons around him to succeed. How's his arm? I don't know how big his arm is, but
he's a quick release and a rotational thrower. So his deep ball was a little bit suspect, but man, I saw it, and that's what really separated him from what I saw in practice. When I saw them throwing the deep ball, I was like, all right, this is the dude. And at first, all we saw was kind of the short passes. Then you got into the practices later on in the week, and then they worked on the long ball. Looked pretty good. And I was worried about that, to be honest with you, but he was on stride, on target, and looked like he had that connection, especially the deep ball with Jeremiah Smith. What's really interesting about that is I think the deep ball for Brandon Ennis is going to be more important than anything else. Like, Jeremiah Smith can catch the ball any spot on the field. Like, he can go over the middle. He's big enough to go over the middle. He can run those crossing routes. He can go ahead and take that, stretch pass to the outside. He can do a screen. But Ennis, I think, is going to stretch the field deep. He's a flyer. He can move, right? He, like as Urban Meyer say, he's fast. Dude's got some speed. But more than anything, we're going to talk about the defense later. This means a lot because this SEC Big Ten battle, like going back and forth, the SEC had it. They had their 25 years of excellence ever since 2006 when Ohio State lost to Florida. That was when it really started. And these last 2 years, they're slipping, man. They're going a little bit down, and it's to the Big Ten. First Michigan, then Ohio State. And this year, you could say that that's just, the ebbs and flows of college football. But if it happens a third year in a row where the SEC loses out to the Big Ten, and it wasn't just the national title games, although they mean more, right? It just means more to win a national title, as they would say in the SEC. It does. It really does. And the big games are what matter. If you're losing in the playoffs to your, rival conference, then it's when it matters the most, right? You've got to win those big games. That's what everyone's paying attention to. That's what all eyes are locked onto. And what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to sit there and say, yeah, well, we won 19 of them in the past 25 years. Okay, well, what have you done now? Because no one gives a shit anymore what you did in the past. It's all about what you did now. I don't care. I mean, that's history now. I want to know who's the best now. I don't want to know who was the best 10, 15 years ago. Who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome that you had that history. And clearly you were the most dominant conference back then. But things are changing. 3 years in a row, that's a pattern. That's a pattern, my friends. And I would love to see that pattern extended another year.
Me too. I mean, you look at the rule changes with the new playoff formats and NIL and a certain Alabama head coach retiring. You know, that
makes a difference. Yeah.
The Crimson Tides are turning, so That's
hey, I like that. Yeah,
definitely.
that's a good article idea. The Crimson Tides are turning.
Hey,
You know,
there we go.
save that one. That's good. That is a really good title too. All right. Anyway, got me thinking. Got my brain, kind of turning. Like everything's cranking right now. But I want to get back to this because the SEC was like, we're going to 9 games. And it was the strength of the schedule that the playoff committee put out there that made conference commissioners rethink things and be like, all right, maybe we do need to go to the 9 games. 9-game conference schedule. I love it. It's great for college football. It's great for, competitive balance between not only their conference, but from conference to conference. You can kind of match things up a little bit more now. And yes, I would probably say that the lower echelon of the SEC is better than the mid to lower echelon of the Big Ten. Absolutely would agree with that. But our highs stack right up with them. Like there's too many of the Rutgers, of the Marylands of the world, of the Purdues of the Big Ten. And there's not enough of that meat in the middle and the different teams winning national titles. Now, can that change? Absolutely. And I think NIL has changed that an awful lot with the Big Ten. We've talked about it before on this show. There's a lot of money in the Big Ten. There's a lot of graduates in the Big Ten. There's a lot of big cities in the Big Ten. So there is a lot of more influence, and you're able to kind of gain an upper hand with NIL as opposed to those kind of smaller rural towns that those colleges in the SEC are in. Yeah, there's some. I mean, Austin, Texas, they're going to be able to make their money, obviously.
Right.
Georgia's close enough, I guess, to Atlanta that they can do it too. But most of these schools, Tuscaloosa, that's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, these rural places, they just don't have the businesses that can compete with the big cities.
No.
Like Columbus. I mean, and even you look at, you have Detroit and Michigan too. They're close enough to Ann Arbor and to East Lansing. And then Chicago, and then New York and New Jersey, they're all in the Big Ten footprint. Baltimore is in the Big Ten footprint. Right. So some of these bigger cities are going to be able to support these teams and support the NIL to a different level than you can in rural South.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope Columbus can start to make a difference in our NIL budget for sure.
Well, yeah, and I guess I was going to say that for later in the show, but you guys, like, we have to slow down a little bit with what's happening this year with recruiting. I know everyone wants to jump on it, and we all want to win. Buckeye fans are crazy. We are a crazy fan base. We always have been. We always will be. We don't like to lose at anything. And every year, things are just getting better and better. We're getting to be where we're more of the higher echelon, like the best of the best. So we should be the best of the best as far as facilities, the best of the best as far as recruiting, the best of the best as far as winning, the best of the best in championships.
Right.
But we have to balance that with what we have because it's a different world. We have to think more roster management versus recruiting. What weighs more? You got to keep your guys. You got to keep what you have. We have the 2 best players in college football.
Yeah.
Guess how much they're making?
Got to pay them.
They're the 2 most highest paid guys in college football, which they should be. If you want Jeremiah Smith to transfer because he wants more money sometime next year, how pissed would you be then? That's more important. Got to keep them involved. I think what you're going to see with Ohio State is more of a transfer portal focus in the next 2 years.
I agree
because
with that.
they're gonna have a lot of guys that free up some cap room. We got to think of cap room now. It's a different time, and you also got to think of guys like Phillip Daniels, guys like Max Clare. They got out of Ohio, went other places, and now are back. We want to save room for those guys that develop. We got to save money for those guys that develop at some other schools that we want to bring back in the fold. In the past, we couldn't do that. It had to focus on recruiting. You had to get those freshmen in. You don't have to now. You can supplement. And I think Ohio State's trying right now. And this year is kind of a pivotal year. And next year is going to be that pivotal year too, where they're trying to find that right balance. What do we want as far as built from high school level versus transfer portal? And what's more important, what is the cost, risk, reward? All right. If you find someone out of high school and you pay them over $1 million, you lost $1 million, and not just the 1 year, you lost it for 4 years. Right. So let's just say that's $4 million you threw under the table. All right. You probably lost 3-4 starter level guys in that $4 million you just threw out the window.
Yep.
You can't throw $4 million out the window. It doesn't make sense fiscally anywhere. And if you have guys that are coming in from the Columbus area donating to your NIL and they see you throw out $4 million, that doesn't sit well. Right? That does not sit well. So take a step back, take that deep breath, and think more on the NFL roster management. That's what we're trying to do. The good teams in the NFL keep their roster together. They don't lose people, in free agency. They keep their guys around. We're putting the franchise tag on some people. That's what we're doing. All right. We're spending that money also and signing big contracts with the guys that have proven themselves. And then we're going out and supporting it in the transfer portal. I hope that makes sense to people, because you've got to start thinking about it like that. The days are gone where the most important thing in the world is bringing in the freshmen. And I get it. Seeing guys like Braylon Womack leave and go to Auburn. But you know what? We're not going to be competing with Auburn for national titles. They're going to get that one guy, that outlier, and the rest of their roster is not going to match up with ours. So go ahead. You take that guy. You waste that money. We might be bringing him back in the future because he's tired of losing that ring. He wants that ring. So, and, let's just say that maybe he fizzles out. Maybe he's that one. Quinn Ewers is a good example. Taking all that money and not really producing a whole lot. Yeah, he got them to a playoff game surrounded by a lot of stud players. But was he worth, being a $2 million quarterback?
If he would have stayed at Ohio State, I think he would have been a first-round pick. But
maybe he would have. Maybe he would have under the two.
That's just me.
Ryan Day. Yeah.
They didn't develop
but it didn't work out, right? And that, what was he, a 7th round pick?
6th, something like that.
6th or 7th round, I don't even remember. But still, that was the number one guy, the number one quarterback, the highest rated quarterback almost of all time. I mean, he was the guy that everyone wanted, so much so that we were like, you know what, we'll take you a year early, and even though we can't do anything with you because we can't say no. I mean, that would just be stupid. Yeah, it's a fireable offense not to take him.
He was like the Smith at quarterback.
Correct. At the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have those. It is a lot better to spend the money, the roster management on a guy that's proven themselves in college. It's a completely different level. You're never going to be able to tell 100%. And I think more so with the guys in the trenches too, because the further you get away from the ball, the easier it is to get on the field early and participate. So wide receivers, we can go ahead and take that. We're going to get our wide receivers anyway. We can spend the money on wide receivers because you can kind of tell a little bit more with a wide receiver. You got hands or you don't, you got speed or you don't. We can coach the route running. All right. Can't coach speed. If you already have that, then we know you're going to make it here. The rest of it we can hone in on and get your skills down. But then the other part of it is we have this brotherhood that is something different here. The brotherhood really trumps all others. And if we start bringing in guys that are me, and me only from the very start, we're going to have some troubles in the locker room. And once you start breaking apart a group setting there where everyone's holding each other accountable, holding each other for excellence. You heard Jermaine Mathews talking about it with IGB. They hold each other to excellence.
Right.
And they speak up if you're not part of that, top echelon, like the best of the best.
Right.
You also heard Brian Hartline say it. He was like, we're not here to just be good. We're here to be the best in the nation.
Right.
I was like, man, that is a statement you love to hear from a coach. We're not here to just be
juiced, ready to go.
Yeah. It's like, it brings me back to that Urban Meyer saying. I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but he was like, it's easy to be average. I don't want to be around average. Anyone can be average. It's tough to be good. It's tough to be excellent. It's tough to be elite. Well, That's what Ohio State's looking for. And it's not just elite as far as recruiting. It's an elite mindset. It's an elite character.
Right.
It's an elite person, really. You hear about, I think it was Tim Walton that was saying, no, it was Coach Laughlin that was saying, I'd be doing a disservice if I wasn't teaching my guys more about life too, because
Yes.
one day that
was Laughlin.
football is going to go flat,
Yep.
and you're going to need something else. So I'm here to teach you to be a good citizen, a good father, a good friend,
Yep.
a good citizen. Like there's more to it. Like we want good people, we want good players, and we want to win, baby.
Yeah,
Just
no,
like Ryan Day said, this is a monster of a game. We got to win it.
I agree with everything you said. If you can go get a Bo Atkinson or
Yep.
a Philip Daniels out at the portal every year, then yeah, I think that if you do want to make that your focus, go right ahead. And like you said, the culture is important. Will Howard, he came in and immediately embraced the culture, which I find
Absolutely
unbelievably impressive. And
Yeah.
just the way these guys, I mean, as a person of faith, the way these guys would run out to the tunnel and immediately take a knee in prayer,
Yeah.
You could just tell that they were all connected. And I think that's a huge reason why we were as successful as we were. So I'm completely okay with that mentality if it produces results like that.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to see. I think trust in the process. We need to see what they do. Give it a year before you start complaining. I know a lot of people are expecting to have top 5 class, top 1 class really coming off a national title. You'd expect that momentum to go in. I think the landscape of college football has just changed. It's no
Absolutely.
longer just about recruiting out of high school.
Right.
If you get a guy that's developed, they're going to give you a lot more in those 2 years than you're going to get out of the 4 years of a guy that may or may not develop. Yeah, if they develop and they're a Jeremiah Smith, you're going to get a lot out of them from the start. But majority of the cases are it's going to be year 3, year 4 before they actually see the field in any meaningful snaps.
For sure.
A lot of guys still got some development to do. Not many guys come in with a work ethic, an iron Buckeye like JJ his freshman year.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
I was just gonna piggyback off of what you said. I mean, you gotta come in and work. You can't get your money out of high school, and that's it. You gotta.
And then, and on top of that, there's schools that are overpaying because that they want that one spot, that
Easily.
one person, and we've kind of talked to that. You look at Felix Ojo at Texas Tech. Texas Tech's done that a couple times, but you know what? They don't have the roster across the board.
Right.
To hang with the big dogs. Yeah, maybe they'll build that with spend enough money. Who knows? But right now, they're not going to hang with the best of the best. They're going to have 2, maybe 3 really good players out there.
Right.
But the rest of the team's not going to add up. So it's not going to do you a whole lot of good in, the grand scheme of a playoff run.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I think some of these smaller schools, they're willing to throw a bag at a guy because it draws interest and money and people getting to people looking at their roster and looking at
ain't no one talking about Texas Tech.
Right.
Except for, pulling the bags out, if they're spending the money now.
But if they can get a guy like Felix, it could bring some attention. And
absolutely.
I think that's why they do it.
It is bringing attention. I absolutely agree with that. Now, so we talked a lot about JJ and being the best player in the nation. The second best, maybe 1A, 1B type of situation, Caleb Downs. I honestly think, everyone's talking about him lining up in the nickel. I think that is so far overblown. It doesn't even make any sense to me. First of all, you don't mess with excellence. He may line up in the nickel at some point, but he's going to be back there 7 yards deep because he reads the defense too well, like a linebacker, and he can get into those passing lanes, especially with the linebackers in front of him. Long, athletic, fast, Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese. Dude, they're going to get their hands up, and they're going to be in those passing lanes, and there's going to be a lot more tipped balls than you've ever seen on this defense. and Caleb Downs is going to be back there ready to pick it off,
Yep.
and they're going to try to get it over these big, long, athletic linebackers, and Caleb Downs is going to be right in the spot. If they try to throw it into that window, he's going to be picking some off. I
Right.
look for him to have a lot more action in turnovers this year than he did last year. And actually, I was listening to some guys talk about, his draft potential, and they'd like to see some more turnovers to be worthy of, a higher pick in the NFL draft. And yeah, in some respect, I guess maybe a GM would want to see him getting the ball and taking it away from the offense more, getting those turnovers in order to be worthy of that higher. He's going to be a high pick no matter what. It's just a matter of if he's going to be the first overall or what. And I know safeties don't normally go that high. I think you're going to see a lot more turnovers, and that's going to boost him up in his draft stock even more than it already is. But back to my first point, like the dude is a dude. Let him roam. Let him make plays. Give him that view from 7 yards deep to get in those passing lanes to go fill the run, because he can get back fast enough to play the pass, and he can get up there and fill those stretch plays on the perimeter or even just off tackle. Dude, he is kind of like a linebacker playing safety, honestly. And he's just smart about it. He's just smart the way he plays too.
Well, and I don't think that you fix what's not broken. Obviously, you're looking for that Hancock replacement, but I don't think Downs is that guy. I don't think you move him to somewhere else.
I don't think you make him that guy.
Even though I think he is versatile, I do think that he is, but I don't think that there's no reason to.
Yeah, Hartford or McLean is going to fill that role. They'll find a way to make that work. And I think that that's just kind of window dressing to have him at nickel. Yeah, maybe there's some situations where he lines up at nickel, but pre-snap, he's going to move back to where you can see the field, be where he can be closest to the ball and make the most plays. If you listen to Matt Patricia, he was like, you're not going to see a lot of differences because what they did last year was pretty darn good, right? They have good coaches already around. Their position coaches are great. Some of the best in the business.
I think the best in the country.
In the business, yeah. So why are you going to mess with it? Like everything they did last year was great. You're going to see a lot of the same things. Yeah, there might be some subtle differences, in certain matchup situations.
Right.
But everything's going to be pretty much the same on that defense, I would imagine.
And, I, like you pointed out, Hartford and McLean, they're going to get split reps week 1 so that they can find who's going to step up into that role. But
I think they know, and they have their, they talk more about now game ready than because different situations you're going to have different guys in there just based on the matchup, and even different games. But Coach Guerreri said with Jalen McLean, they were like, he's like the intensity, the consistency. He had that DB effort grade was the highest last year as a true freshman. Makes me really think that they're leaning a little bit more towards McLean to fill that role. But Hartford's going to see time no matter, even if that is the case. Yeah. And that's just, that's just me trying to read some tea leaves. I don't know if that's true at all. Yeah, I wouldn't project that for any reason. And obviously I'd like to see Malik Hartford out there just because he's an Ohio boy too, and get him some playing time. But man, I love what I'm seeing at cornerback. Just Jermaine Mathews was talking about, what he wants, what this year is going to be. He's like, I want to be elite. And I said it before, when I was watching spring game, when I was watching last year even, and then with the practices this year, the dude is going to be a number 1 draft pick. I mean, I'm talking like not number 1 overall, but he's going to be a first round draft pick. Sure. I have full faith in it. And then the more I see Davis and Igbinosa, I think he's going to be too. And I had talked about that last year too. What IGB's problem was, he said it himself. He was not turning his head, because I said he was always, if you can go back and check the receipts, he was always in the right spot. He didn't even need to grab. He was there. He's long, he's lanky, he's athletic. He can get there It's just he had that last second urge to pull. And sometimes he would hold as the guy was breaking, but he didn't trust his instincts, and I think he's going to trust them now. You're not seeing it in a practice. You're not seeing the holds that he had before.
Good.
I don't think it's going to be a problem as much. But these guys are going to be good, man. The confidence that they have. Jermaine Mathews was like, he said his confidence is up. He said he's been here before, and now he's just going to make the situations, more consistent. He wants to make plays more often. He had a role last year, and he was able to cover that role, and he had confidence in it when he was in there, and he played well. He's going to continue to play better.
I like what Iggy said about Caleb Downs. He's really picking Caleb Downs' brain about
Coach Downs.
Coach Downs. Yeah, that's what he called him, and I think that's great. I think that's really going to help Iggy this year, and I look forward to seeing him play.
Absolutely.
But about Mathews, it's good that he's finding that confidence. You see a guy that I feel like is pretty darn confident, but
what did Iggy say? He said he feeds off of them.
Yes.
And then they feed. No. Yes. Yeah, he said he feeds off of them.
Yes, he did say that.
Jermaine gives me life. That was what he said. So I was like, man, I like hearing that because Jermaine likes to chirp, Iggy likes to chirp, and those guys are confident. They're going against the best receivers in college football. So the iron sharpens iron is really the truth here. And I don't know if any of the viewers out there watched some of those clips. I'm sure you did, of Ohio State. They had that play where it was Igbinosa going against Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith won the first round. It was like did a rewind, flashback, and it was like the same exact play, but that time IGB got him, man. He shut him down. And I was like, oh, man, this is the epitome of iron sharpens iron. These are the best of the best going at it. Igbinosa said he came back because he wanted to be a day one draft pick. And like I said, he had all the tools. He was there before he just had too many penalties. I don't think he's from what I've seen, I don't think he's getting those penalties this year.
He was great.
He's got it. He's got the confidence. He was always there. He was always right there.
He was great in coverage last year. It's just like you said, he's got to turn his head, and that's it.
Yeah.
If he does that, he's a first-round draft pick. I wholeheartedly believe that.
The monster of the game. You wanted to get it in a little bit more on saying, what do you expect from him? What are your initial thoughts? Like what's going to happen this year?
He's a first-time starter, which is obviously you don't know, but he has all the help that he needs. He has a great coach in Day, a guy that really knows quarterbacks, and Coach Fessler, all those guys. And, obviously, the weapons across the board are so much more beneficial for a guy that's trying to develop. And yes, he's undersized. He's undersized, but
when you have the best of the best out there at wide receiver,
right?
That's gonna help the situation just a little bit.
Right. Yes, he's undersized. He's like 6'1", but I don't think that's gonna matter. I mean, he's a good athlete, and I don't know what we'll see out of the deep ball, but he's really accurate, and I think that he's gonna do really good this year.
Yeah, I expect to see some struggles, out of the gate. There's going to be some mistakes. There would be a mistake with any starting quarterback, first-year starting quarterback. But you're probably going to see some mistakes from the Manning boy, too. This is his first road game, major, traveling all the way up to Columbus from Texas, and he's going to face the 100,000 people plus in the shoe. I'm assuming that there'll be somewhere around 103,000. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a sellout. The ticket prices are out of this world right now.
Yeah.
So don't try to get a last minute ticket to this one because it's going to be hard to get.
I looked.
Yeah. What did you see last? Last time I heard it was upper 400s for a ticket.
I saw. I mean,
in the nosebleeds. The
highest I saw was like 700, but as low as probably like 300.
You saw some 300s?
Saw some 300s, yeah.
I wonder if that's the restricted visibility tickets because there are some at Ohio Stadium. That's for sure.
I use
if you're a
TickPick,
Texas fan listening. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, oof. Yeah, that's a lot of money to pay for a ticket. And those Tennessee fans got away with a steal last year because
Oh my
Buckeye fans
goodness.
were just so pissed. Like
Yeah,
people didn't want to go to the game. They were almost boycotting in a way.
right.
$65 for a lower bowl ticket to the first ever playoff game, a top 10 matchup in the shoe, and never seen anything like that. Probably never will again in my life.
I hope not.
I hope not too. All right, and let's see. Anything else that you noticed from the interviews this week that you wanted to touch on at all?
I like what Will Kacmarek said. He said that, that the tight end group is probably the best in the country, or
Oh
deepest in the country. And I agree with that. Tight end is a group that we've had some good players. We've had Ruckert, we've had Stover,
Mhm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I think Claire is our first guy in a long time that's been like dual threat, can do pretty much everything, and
Mm-hmm.
could really have success in the NFL, I believe. And then you
Yeah.
got Kacmarek, who's a great blocker,
Mhm.
Bennett Christian, who's coming along. So
Yep. And Bennett Christian made some outstanding catches in practice too. That
right,
was like, wow, all right. And he's been a leader in that tight end room, which is
right,
also awesome. I mean, any one of those guys could start any game. If you wanted to put 4 tight ends in, you could. It's just we have so many wide receivers, we can't.
right.
And before Max Clare came, this tight end room was already awesome. It was like, wow, this is
Yeah.
a damn good room.
I would have felt perfectly fine with Jelani Thurman or
I was
Kacmarek.
just about to say that. Yeah, we didn't even mention Jelani Thurman yet, and he's a
Right.
freak the way he's catching stuff.
I mean,
as long as that translates
athlete.
to the field. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Such a good athlete and so big. It's just the
Mhm.
main issue he's had is his hands.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, which is, I think that was just a heady thing. I think he's going to get over that this year. Just
definitely
like
could be.
Igbinosa is going to get over the flag calling.
Right.
It's just the interesting thing about that first drop by him, that first flag by Igbinosa, it's going to be like, oh, here we go. Everyone's there. Just after one, I give it a
Gotta be
pass,
patient.
but then let them hang out. And, man, the other thing that makes me mad about this Texas game, before we get into, because we got the review coming this week, we're going to do an in-depth review, but it makes me mad because people aren't talking about what Texas lost to. Like,
Right. I agree with that. Yep.
and they lost a lot on their offensive line, and then they had a guy recently just go out with an injury.
Yeah, he's out
and
for the year.
I know their defensive line is going to be tough.
Right.
When you don't have an offensive line protecting your darling Manning, I don't know, man. I mean, and I know that's good to have a Manning name back there at quarterback, and he's been trained the right way. He seems to have the right mindset. You got to have an offensive line to protect him, especially
Right.
when this is a sneaky good defense for Ohio State. Fast,
absolutely.
athletic, twitchy, just K-Mac's going to get through that line, and I feel sorry for Manning if K-Mac gets to him because the dude is a beast, absolute beast. He is disruptive.
Yeah. Like you said, people focus on what we lost. Look at what we got.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guy in Sand who I think could be better than Howard.
Mm-hmm.
We still have Smith.
A different better, yeah.
Right. We still have Smith. The O-line is really pretty close to the same because all the guys that left from last year were hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Really, I don't know. The defense is going to be a lot different, and you lost some coaches.
Except for Donovan Jackson. Yeah, he's going to be a tough one to lose. But, yeah, the other guys got hurt during their playoff run. Absolutely. Right. They were out. So, lost Josh Simmons. We lost our Remington Award winner.
Yep.
It's but we replaced him. And, I mean, Hinsman's going to be a beast. All right. Saraval is a beast. Luke Montgomery is a beast. Tegra Shabola is a beast. And then you got Phillip Daniels, who I think is going to start that right tackle.
That's the rumor out of camp. We got Onionwa, who people were saying.
And Onionwa,
People
He
were
looked
saying
like a
he was
beast
going to be a
too.
second-round pick.
Yeah,
And then
last year.
He comes here, and I guess Daniels has really came onto the scene, which is good.
Yeah, I think that speaks more to Daniels than it does to Onyemwa.
Right, I agree.
Onyemwa's going to get his time in there. They're going to rotate in. People are going to get a little bit more playing time than you normally would have as a second string because, I think they got 7 guys that are ready to go. 6, 7 guys on that offensive line. They're going to be rotating some guys in quite a
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
And with last year in mind, I think Day and the coaching staff have said it before, say it again. They kind of learned their lesson. Like, we need to have guys ready for this whole
Right.
stretch run. That's
Right.
why they do the A, the B position. This is going to be a good year. This is going to be. I can't wait to see it. Approaching that 7 days a week from Buckeye football, man.
Can't wait.
Speaking of that,
Cannot wait.
there is. I've been counting down from 100, doing videos all the way back to 100. I guess
Yep.
I didn't do 100 because there's not an 100 number, but I did 99.
Right.
So
Right.
99 days of doing that, of cutting some film for some of the best athletes that you've seen. A lot of guys will post up a picture and say, we're 7 days from Buckeye football, but when you're
Right.
going looking through some of their highlights, trying to find them and producing that, putting it together, it's kind of a lot of work. So I'm just impressed. I'm giving myself a pat on the back right now. I'm glad I made it this far through that.
You deserve it.
Some of those videos are awesome. I go back and watch them. I'm like, man, that was good. I like watching that. That Maurice Claret one was fun to do. I don't know what I'm going to do for 7 tomorrow because there's so many.
I was just going to ask if you had anything in mind, or
I think I'm going to do a mashup, man, because there's just so many 7s, so many 2s. When I get down to that point, that I think I'm just going to add a little bit of everyone. I thought about doing like 8 videos because there's so many number 7s that you want to do them on. Like, you think of Chris Gamble, you think of Ted Ginn, like
right.
It goes on and on and on and on, and then 2's the same way.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the guys you mentioned, they were before my time, but
yeah,
I hear all the time about how impressive they were.
But it's cool. I mean, I did some that were, kind of before my time too. Like doing the Randy Gradishar one was kind of fun to do.
Right.
Some of those guys, like, I'm going to have to do a Chris Carter as well. Really before my time, but something I like to see. And then some of them were like during my time, but I didn't pay close enough attention, like Terry Glenn. I was like going back and seeing that again. I was like, I was watching football at that time, but I wasn't like intense watching football. So
right.
Terry Glenn is probably the most underrated wide receiver in Ohio State's history. He was a baller. Like, he should be up there with the best of the best. He should be on that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I've seen his stats. Like, he's pretty close up there, but yeah.
Yeah, he was a walk-on too.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Terry Glenn was out of Columbus Brookhaven as a walk-on.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he made it to be one of the best. And then we just did the Dave Boston, man. Hey, David Boston, and him and that Woodson, just iconic, classic fight. I know you've seen that. If you've ever watched the Ohio State-Michigan game, they show it every year. So that helmet grabbing back and forth, pushing between those two was awesome. And then Boston turning around and holding the ball up as he's backing into the end zone. Oh, man, that's absolutely funny. Classic. It's just rivalry bliss, which reminds me of something. There was I want to say it was 1974. So we had that, they did the flag planting, and then Sawyer came and grabbed that flag, and I was, somewhere in comments on social media, I was like, well, it reminds me a little bit of, tearing down the banner. And I believe it was 1974 that Ohio State came out and they tore that M banner that they go, that banner that they jump and touch as they're coming in the field. Ohio State ran through. The whole team tore that down. And it was awesome. I was like, dude, that's what the rivalry is all about. Everyone's so pissed off about them planting the flag or, Jack Sawyer coming and taking it. I was like, dude, that's part of the rivalry. That's classic. That's going to go down in infamy. It's going to be, that's something that you're going to look at 10 years later with Sawyer ripping that flag out of their hands and be like, not in my house, baby.
That's part of the
the pepper spray was a little bit over the top, that they needed to do that. They had to clear out, I get it, have your fun, do your thing. But then you got to clear out and go. Celebration's over. You made your point. Time to go home.
I agree.
And then Michigan fans have nowhere to talk. Like they instigate like brutal fights in their tunnel, going to the locker room, and both teams have to go through that same tunnel. I mean, and then they get mad because, the other team fights back. Like, come on, man.
I just saw that a few days ago. That video of them both in the tunnel.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a couple ones, you go back to Michigan State, you go to Ohio State, and there's been a couple more fights in that tunnel because that tunnel is not a safe place.
No.
Well, man, a week away from football. You excited?
I'm not gonna be able to sleep.
You got any new articles coming out soon?
I just saw Lathan Ransom. He got a pick. So I'll probably do some
I did see that
preseason stuff and
get that going for next week.
Yep.
Yeah, you planning to do that every Wednesday?
I believe so. Yeah. With school starting back up, I have to sort of plan accordingly. But if I can,
I think that should be like that would be a good Wednesday column for you.
Yeah.
Buckeyes in the NFL. It's something great. We're all interested in that. I love seeing it. Love reading it, man. It's been awesome. Cody,
appreciate it.
Thanks for joining me, brother. Kind of delayed this. It was going to be Wednesday. Then we're like, we'll do it Thursday. And then, what? Friday's a good day to do it. And it felt like football weather out there today, man. So it was awesome.
It was awesome. It felt great.
All right, brother. Well, going to end this show for today. God bless everyone. Thank you, Buckeye backers, for joining us. And hey, we're right around the corner. It's going to be back to the normally scheduled. We're going to do Sunday morning after. So catch us every Sunday morning. It'll be 9:30 a.m. So be there. Listen to our analysis after the game. That is by far the most popular show that we've ever had. The viewers, it goes up every time we do it. So I think we even had pretty good views after the spring game when we did the morning after the spring game show. So check that out. There's not much coverage of Buckeye football on Sunday morning. Follow the Buckeye backers to get that. Seattle Matt has excellent analysis. He doesn't join the show often, but for Sunday mornings, he will be there. We'll probably also have a Wednesday preview show. We'll definitely have a Wednesday show, and then most likely have a Thursday show as well, all through the season. All right, 10 o'clock on Wednesday, 10 o'clock on Thursday, 9:30 in the morning, all right, on Sunday, morning after shows. Follow us on X. Hit that subscribe. Hit the share. Hey, contribute to the comments. We got something special coming. So I talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. The locker room is where we make our comments. And we're going to have a message board coming on our website, collegefootballbackers.com. So check that out. That's where all our articles go. If you're a college football fan, go there, read it up, check it out. We've got some damn good writers for college football backers. So get on there, follow us, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Doesn't cost you anything. God bless. Buckeye backers are out. Peace, brother. Thank you, Cody.
No problem.
Peace out.